Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to the Leading Forum on Private Equity and very welcome to this wonderful panel, Scaling in a Pandemic. Why is it important to invest in digital economy now, today? The digital economy has shown flexibility and growth during this year 2020. This panel is an invitation to know more, or a little bit more at least, about the reason why these companies or these resilient companies are good investment for all of you today. My name is Romo. I have more than 20 years in experience in strategy consulting, incubation, acceleration, business angels, and venture capital. I was managing director of Endeavor in Chile, and later I assumed as Corfo's corporate manager. Now I am the CEO of Startup Chile, of Government of Chile, of Corfo, the first public accelerator of the world. So thank you very much for being all of you with us today. I hope to have a wonderful panel to discuss with beautiful entrepreneurs. So I feel so proud to introduce this panel. First of all, I would like to introduce Bryton Shang. He's the founder and CEO at AquaBite from United States. Bryton, are you there?
Yes, hi. Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Thanks for being with us. Also, I would like to introduce Eduardo della Maggiora. He's the founder and the CEO of Betterflye, previous Burn to Give. I would like to know a little bit about that. From Chile. Hi, Eduardo. Are you there?
Hello, Angeles. Yes, I'm here. Happy to be here. Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much for being with us today also. And Antonio Migliore, founder and CEO at Mova from Argentina. Are you there, Tony?
Hi, Angeles and everyone. Yes, I'm here. Glad to be here. Good day to everyone.
Thank you very much for being with us today. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about your companies by yourself, just to know a little bit about that. Bryton?
Yes, so yeah, great to be here. Yeah, just a bit about our company, Aquabyte. We've been around for a couple of years, and we build technology for fish farms. What it is actually a camera AI-based system that monitors the fish in the pen, and it can determine the weight and health and growth of the fish. We started as a collaboration in Silicon Valley and developed the technology starting in Norway with the salmon farms there. We also opened up our office in Chile in Puerto Montt, where we're also working with a couple fish farms in Chile as well, and also in Scotland. And so the company today is about like 40 people working in the 3 different countries, and also developing this type of AI machine learning technology. And happy to share more as we progress.
Well, congratulations. Thank you very much. What about with Eduardo?
Yes, so I'll start with where we're Betterflye, previously or formerly Burn to Give. We're basically a platform for the future of work, and we created this subscription that improves, inspires, and protects lives. And we use technology and data analytics to help each person live their best life. And how we do this is that we inspire healthy living by giving back. Your healthy habits such as walking, running, meditating, saving are converted into a charitable donation, such as planting a tree, feeding a child, and also a life insurance coverage that grows with no cost and that people can build with their good habits instead of their wallets. So we recently transformed ourselves from Burn to Give, which started as an app to recycle calories. And last week we announced the new shift into our new brand name, Betterflye. So happy to be here.
Wonderful.
And yeah, thanks very much.
And I guess we are going to talk a little bit more about that as well. So Antonio, let us know a little bit about you or your company.
Well, thanks, Angeles. Actually, I'm Tony for everyone, so it's easier for anyone in English. Actually, Moova is a digital platform of urban logistics providers. It has a focus on direct-to-consumer and e-commerce. What we do is we capture idle logistics capacity and transform it into high efficiency, low cost package solutions, including same day shippings. But the nice thing here is that Moova is actually not like a regular last miler. What we do is we build a product and we use it in some geographies while we deploy it in different ones through a license. So we are going very fast from one country in this January to 7 today, including 5 operated by us and 2 others in this licensing model that we do.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, and congratulations also. Actually, it's very, very inspiring to review your experience and how you have managed the growth of your companies. We seek in this panel to demonstrate that the innovative and the digital companies are a great opportunity, much more for today, since you were exempt for the negative effect of the pandemic and found new opportunities from the others. So your experience here is absolutely key to demonstrate the issue. Thanks very much for sharing with us your experience and what you are doing for reach this. So traditional resilient planning doesn't do enough to prepare for pandemic situation, obviously. You had a plan for the year 2020 when we start this year, and suddenly you were in front of a new, absolutely new scenario. So first of all, I would like to know and to learn on how you and your organization improve your responses. What changes in your companies you had to make, and how long did you take to react? What is your experience, Bryton?
Yeah, so certainly I think there is a couple things for the pandemic. First is certainly we have to work remote, not from the office. And so because we already were sort of a remote company, that was a bit of a natural transition, but certainly everyone working from home and collaborating with each other. I think another thing we did was we had raised another round of funding at the beginning of the pandemic just to make sure in case, for whatever reason, things didn't go as well, we had enough cash to support ourselves. Now, I think thankfully people continue to eat, so they were still buying fish and salmon, but certainly that was another thing we did to prepare. And also, I think just more generally, empowering the different managers in the different regions to make more decisions and to work better together. But it's a little bit tough for us because we also have to go out to these fish farms to actually install the equipment. So we're working through a number of those restrictions, but otherwise we're able to manage during the pandemic.
What about you, Eduardo?
Yeah, so in our case, I guess it's been a really crazy year because we were kicking off our Series A round of fundraising beginning of March, end of February, right? And then suddenly COVID hit, right? And I would say that the last 6 months has been, the strategic change that we've made is focus on building technology versus launching. We had planned launching a new product in April, and we waited until August, September to do so. So that was a strategic decision that we made. But we kept, there's a luck component as well. And we've been for 2 years building a platform for the future of work, and the future of work got here, 5 years earlier than we thought it would. And that of course was a good tailwind in our business model. But I would say it's getting used to working remotely, as Bryton mentioned. We're a 60 people team. When we started Coed, we were 23, so we've almost tripled the team, and we're going to end the year we're going to multiply times 4 the team towards the end of the year, and that has been precisely because of COVID, right? And so we've made a lot of decisions. I mentioned one of them to adapt to what's happening in the world today. And at the core of our value proposition, which is this life insurance coverage, we accelerated that deployment and giving access to people, and employees because of what's happening in the world. So that's another maybe strategic decision that we made, that we accelerated our launch of that product, which is something we had planned for the end of the year, and we launched it at the middle of the year. So anyhow, it's been a crazy 6 months, and some of these things that have happened are, I would, embedded in our business model, and they were going to happen eventually, and others we accelerated or we pushed back a little bit to adapt to what's happening in Chile and in the world. Yeah.
Well, thank you. It's a crazy year for Eduardo de la Maggiora. So what about with Tony?
Well, there are some things that both Bryton and Eduardo said that like a mirror what we did. But for instance, we went through from 20 to 60, exactly the same thing that Eduardo said. But what we actually did was to take several hard decisions as soon as this situation started. For instance, in a week, we were out of the offices in the 3 countries in which we are working. Like immediately, we will not start thinking what will happen in the future. We just terminate. Then we secure the plan with the same thing that Bryton did, small bridge round with new investors. And also we made a salary reduction for the top management, not the whole team, only the top management, to secure like money to end of this year. And then we start preparing ourselves for the volume that it was about to come. It was like easy to understand that people getting locked, things still have to be delivered. So the volume was about to come, and we started hiring more movers. We don't actually hire; we add movers or add contracts to the company. We cover the regulatory side prior to going to the press, and then we went to the press. So we met like a sweet spot in which the press was pushing us, the volume was out there, and we were like growing like extremely rapidly. And nowadays we are actually we have been going up to that initial decisions very, very fast towards where we are today. Now let's say the challenge is to keep growing at this path with no such a huge wind tail that we had a month ago. But that's actually what we did. Very hard from the very beginning.
It's congratulations, Tony. Actually, it's a very beautiful challenge to keep growing all the time, and a good experience for that. We are gonna talk a little bit about this later. So I want to stay longer with Eduardo. Betterflye, actually, you something said about this, but in fact, during the pandemic, you redefined completely your business model and the brand identity. Wow.
Yeah.
So the question is, what was the indicator or the market trends, or what was for you to evaluate this change? Why did you change the business model at this moment? Why was in the pandemic moment? It was a good decision for you?
I hope. So I think, I guess, and I'll go a step back. I think one of the things that as an entrepreneur, you have to be always, when you're starting to build a company, is that you have to be really open to market, trends and what's happening outside, right? And having this ability to pivot, without changing the purpose of why you're building your business, right? And very early in the year, we started, sniffing in terms of, these changes that we should have made. We had the insurtech, in the back of our heads always, right? And then we just said, we have to accelerate this, because we really believe this is something that, given what's happening in the world, right, it's going to make a lot of sense. So I'll give you an example. We're sitting in March, right, and COVID had started in China, right, and in January, okay, and I would say end of January, beginning of February, you were seeing life insurance, for example, was exploding, right, and digital life insurance was exploding in Asian countries. Then the US, the same thing. So given that we had this advantage, right, being 2-3 months ahead of COVID in this part of the world, we said, what, we should accelerate what we're doing. The future of work, which we always talked about, that we thought was 3 years ahead, came really quickly. So let's just pivot and let's let's not pivot a little bit. Let's just pivot 180 degrees all in. And that pivot came with even changing the brand identity, right? Because we first made the decision to say, okay, let's pivot our business model to what's happening. And number two, then we said, okay, but wait a second. Burn to give, as we say in Spanish, se quedó corto, because you're not only burning, but you're saving. So I was like, yeah. And it was really, you know, it was not an easy decision. And you know this, Angeles, because it was, for me, Burn to Give was my baby, the name of the company we started 2.5 years ago. And we had to change it because we thought it was the best decision strategically. And yeah, all of this behind a screen like we are right now, right? Talking to people, interviewing people, talking to advisors, raising capital, hiring new people in this new reality that, 1 year ago, if someone would have told me, look, you're going to pivot your business model, you're going to raise capital, you're going to hire a team, and you're going to change your name. Any of those four, I would have said it's impossible. And here we are a year later, having done all of them. So yeah, it's been crazy, but it's been, I guess, and to your question, I hope it was a good decision. And so far, the traction has been really good. So we're really happy about it. Yeah.
At least I can see you have enjoyed. That is wonderful. So congratulations about that. And actually, for all the venture capitalists in this panel, I would like to ask you about the social purpose, because companies with social purpose are still in a question regarding the
I think we lost Angeles.
Yeah.
Yes. I thought it was me. So
the profitability. So how does Betterflye? Hello.
Angeles, you got cut a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Once again, so companies with social purpose are still in a question regarding their profitability. So the question for you is, how does Betterflye make the fusion in between social impact and business? How you create this balance in between social and business for the venture capital or venture capitalists in your company as well?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And actually, I was forgetting about that one because that's a fifth decision that we took this year. So we became Latin America's first public benefit corporation. So we're not only a B Corp, but we're legally incorporated as a PBC in the US. And that means, we not only have, a business model impact, but a fiduciary, duty to give social and environmental return at the same level as so we're really proud about that. And we took that decision before COVID, right? And a lot of people were like, okay, but wait a second, they're going to confuse you with a nonprofit, or, who's going to invest in your company? Well, guess what? 6 months later, right, we raised this really successful round. And I would say in our case, it's blending profit and purpose in our business model, right? And going to Betterflye, what we do, right, we have this subscription that has not only embedded, if you want, fintech solution in it, a flat fee subscription for employees and companies of all sizes, but it has embedded social impact. So the more we grow, right, the more social, environmental impact that we create. And it's a direct result of the growth or the economic or the financial return that we have is the environmental and the social return that we have at the same time. So it's embedded, same as, there's a lot of talk about, embedded fintech, embedded insurtech. Well, we have an embedded social impact as well. And there's absolutely no way for us to grow without creating social and environmental impact. So that's deeply embedded in what we do. And the venture capitals and, like Alaya and others that have betted on us, and invested in us, see this combination of profit and purpose, that they don't need to be separate. They can be put in one solution. And in our case, again, it's a subscription, a socially driven or purpose-driven Netflix type subscription. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations. So I would like to talk a little bit with Bryton about AquaBite. We know today is a wonderful day for AquaBite, and I would like you to tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, well, okay. Yeah, we actually got the news, launched the news earlier today that we're actually the first company in the world, like really, that can allow farmers to count lice automatically. And it's allowed by the authorities. So the Norwegian government approved our device for automatic sea lice counting. So what that means is like every farmer in Norway and also around the world needs to monitor every week, every pen, count 10 or 20 fish by hand by looking at the sea lice. And so they can use our camera to be able to count sea lice automatically and report those to the authorities. And so this is both kind of a approval for the farms to use it, but also a step in the right direction to say that even the government is embracing AI and big data and seeing this as a direction for regulation and policy. And so it's, yeah, that news just came out, and it's very, very exciting.
Wow, it's congratulations for that. Actually, it's a very big opportunity for you, for your company, for the complete industry. So wonderful for you and for your company as well. So that during the pandemic, you had to adjust your supply chain. You had hardware that came from China, and then you have to install it in your main market, Norway and Chile. While you have this geographic component at first, then the service is remote but digitalizing a traditional industry. So the question here is, how did you manage to enter in a traditional industry with digital technology? How do you do it? And because I guess your idea or your experience could be useful for other entrepreneurs in the world as well.
Yeah, well, I would say, I mean, for us, we are a technology company, but we're also, in some sense, like a fish farm in that really, ultimately, the farmer, they care about solving their problem and not just about the technology. And so really, the first thing I did was just to spend time in Norway and at the fish farm and learn how it operates. And then from that, to be able to then, be able to get farms to test out the technology and then ultimately set up offices and subsidiaries in the different countries to be able to run. And so, for example, in Chile, we had the technology that was developed in the US and in Norway. We brought it to Chile and we've been testing it, and we hired local business development person to actually get it up and running. And so I think for us is as much as kind of being a technology company and developing that, but also being very familiar with the farmer. Like, we actually have a lot of farmers that are working for us and also biologists that are helping design it for the farmer. And so we're as much staffed as a fish farm as we are a technology company. And so that was allow us to then successfully commercialize.
Was wonderful. Well, actually, you were born with objective markets remote from where you and your partner were located, Norway and Chile. And so the question here is, how have you managed to enter with a hardware product in markets that are geographically distant? In more than that is absolutely hard. What happened in this specific moment, in pandemic moment? I mean, when frontiers are absolutely closed, how do you do it?
I think it's quite challenging. As you mentioned, we have like
Absolutely.
we have this camera, and the camera needs to physically be shipped around the world. Thankfully, like, Chile has a number of free trade agreements, so it makes it a bit easier. But otherwise, it's difficult because we need to manage all the hardware. But I mean, for us, in some ways, the pandemic forced us to be more efficient because instead of needing people to go out to the site, we can just ship the camera and the farmer can set it up themselves. And so for us, it's also to say that digitalization and automation, now is the time to embrace that, because everyone should be at home with their families instead of out working. And so if we can help have automation be able to enable that's a good thing. But that's to say that it's quite challenging, and there's nothing really special to it. We just sort of have to work through it, and thankfully the fish farm is also a bit remote, so there's less contamination risk. So, yeah.
Great, wonderful, congratulations, actually, very, very exciting. And Tony, go ahead. You say in the introduction, you say we have in front of a big problem, and actually, your sector was positively impacted, logistics driven by the growth of the e-commerce. You grew 300% and launched in new countries 100% remotely. So you have now a very big problem because the industry is growing fast and faster. So you have to manage rapid growth. This is your problem for me today. I mean, in my opinion. And now in a different way and handling the over demand. So the question here is, how did you manage or you handle the e-commerce explosion and the excess demand in a short time? Is it possible to open new market 100% remotely? And what is your strategy for that?
So there are many things in there. Let's start from the very nice one, which is we didn't grow 300%, we grew 10x.
Wow.
Like, yes, that's the real figure in terms of revenues and deliveries. Of course, it's a huge thing it's a huge challenge to manage. I have faced many problems in my professional life, 25 years in logistics and technology, some of them. This is not a problem. This is the best year of my life. These are only opportunities to be taken. So how did we do this? On one hand, we understood this is a way of answering all the things together, which is, can we open offices 100% remotely? Of course we can. In this very moment, all of us are in different locations, and we are all together through this product. In this case, is this whatever name it is. Other time is Zoom, Teams, or which product it is. So we understood that as we had a product, which is a technology one, that joins the companies with logistics necessities and the others with logistics capacities, if you met both of them with your own technology, you can grow very fast. So how you do that? You have to capture every idle capacity that you can, and for that reason, you have to be in each and every place at the same time. So as we had the experience and some networking, we take use of that thing, and we decided. I personally decided to start launching within the pandemic. We have some experience done in a local city, which is Rosario. How do we do this? Actually, we have opened local cities like Cordoba or foreign countries like Chile for us. But then we take like a trial to open a smaller city within Argentina, which is closer to us, which we have done part of the process, and this can be supported by the guys in the headquarters in Buenos Aires. So what we did was to fulfill the complete procedure of hiring people, only that it was a full 100% remotely. When we tackle or when we get the talent there, we start with a process that we have already developed that includes people from operations, sales, technology, finance. It's a process in which we are teaching them and supporting them how to build a business. So then we learn some things, building a small office close to us, and then we went towards the big market, which is Mexico. For sure, it's a difficult one, but at the same time, it's the same procedure. It's a screen, it's people on the other side, people on your side, fulfilling the process. Apart from that, we have opened also Peru the same way. Is this better than the old way? I guess this is better, because in the old days, meaning some month ago, you have to go there, you have to spend some time there, you have to go to hotel, make a couple of meetings. In this very environment, you can be much more time effective. So you go directly to the point. We actually are doing this like in a repeated way. We have built this process, and on the other hand, to go forward and the strategy, the e-commerce keeps growing and expanding. So many other players are trying to tackle the business as last mile logistics providers. What we do is to add traditional companies and some of that last milers to work in our platform. Our platform allows the returns, allows the empty spaces to be filled. So with the same amount of vehicles, you do much more deliveries. So we can do this in a good way. You can save a lot of energy. This is like combining both worlds: profitability, as Eduardo said, and the save the planet thing, which is with no additional vehicles, we are fulfilling much more volume of deliveries. We are just using the spare capacity. Just one more thing regarding that. Imagine an airway company, airplane that goes from Buenos Aires to San Francisco, hopefully full, and then it has to go back empty to pick more passengers, and they have to go full again. That's the way logistics works, traditional logistics works. If you can have a technology that could fill the returns and part of the empty space going up, then you have a huge business on your side. That's the way we are doing it today.
Absolutely. Yeah, actually, congratulations on that. And actually, my question is in the line that you are telling us. The industry is growing and growing very fast. So what about with the other players in the industry? What is your opinion about the growing, or what do you expect about the growing of the rest of the actors or player in the industry in the coming years?
Logistics is not a business in which winner takes it all. This isn't the kind of business. Even in the traditional logistics, think about, let's say, only USA. You have FedEx, you have UPS, you have USPS, you have DHL, and you have other hundred of suppliers that are competing one to each other, and they're all of them, they are living together. So of course this is a market which is growing, so it's not mature. Some concentration will succeed in the future, will be in the future. Our strategy is to be the one that is established in more countries in a shorter time, which is a competitive advantage. But at the same time, of course, we have strong players in each place. There are different ways of tackling this. Most of them tackle this through the deliveries way of seeing. We tackle this through technology. Through this kind of technology, you can add not only your own operations, but you can add what are actually competitors that finally purchase your technology and develop through that. So that's the way we think. There will be some concentration in the future. We guess we will be good in that very moment. Also.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And no, thank you very much. It's wonderful, and congratulations for the growing of your company and how you have managed. I have a question for all of you. We hopefully, the pandemic period is ending. We won't. So in your opinion, what's after the pandemic period for you, for your company, for the region, for the industry? What is your opinion? What is going to happen when all of this, the pandemic period is ending? What do you think, Tony?
I'll jump into that if you want, Angelis. Yeah. So sorry, I think we're with this phase. So yeah. So I think in general terms, I think as I think Tony mentioned, I mean, we're living, of course, one of the deepest and most profound, not only financial but also sanitary crisis. But at the same time, it's probably the biggest opportunity, you know, in a long time. And I think with that, when we look back, you know, in 2025, you know, we're going to see, you know, 10, 20, 30 companies that change the world, that change it for good. And the next 10 years, right, I'm a true believer that technology is going to enable and is going to democratize a lot of services that were traditionally exclusive for just a few people, and make them available for all. So I'm an optimist, you know, by heart, and I do believe that the next 5 years, 10 years are going to change the world profoundly. And companies being started, or you know, in their first, or you know, initial years in this period are the ones that, you know, are going to change change how we live, how we interact in the future. So I'm really positive, not only, you know, for us at Betterflye, but for the you know, ecosystem, for the technology ecosystem. I think there's going to be a reshift in terms of power, in terms of, you know, in terms of business models, in terms of and whoever, you know, pivots and changes and is able to read what is happening is gonna finish aboard. So yeah, that's those are my 2 cents, and they're pretty optimistic about what's coming. Yeah.
Well, thank you. What about you, Tony?
Regarding the whole picture, which is what Eduardo tackled, I guess there are some good things that will remain, which are maybe some new hygienic ways to manage each of ourselves. This was like this is the first maybe global advertisement that the humanity has received. So for the future, I guess the economic trends will go towards much and more towards the green companies, and the companies that understand that we are a lot of people living in a world, and we are not here for good with no counterpart on our side. That's how I see this. Some good ways will remain. On our business, I guess there will be like a pendulum effect. Like when all of us were in a lockdown situation, we had to purchase online, and then we were like liberated. We were like happily going towards the shops and the bars and the stores, and then there will be like a return to the middle point in which we will choose what to purchase online and what to go towards the experience. So regarding my particular business, there will be like a consolidation of e-commerce, but not in the crazy ways of the very first month. As the very pandemic situation ends, then for the future, I expect this like remote thing to keep growing. We will not going back to the same old days we were before. Exactly the same days we will not be there. That's the way I think.
Agree. Thank you. What about you, Bryton?
I agree with everything that was said. I think one point I might add is also we've been seeing this geographic democratization of like just like where startups are created. Being in California, we're seeing actually a number of founders moving out of San Francisco and going someplace else to work because they can work anywhere. And really, I think this trend will just continue where essentially you'll have entrepreneurs all throughout the world where you can create a company really anywhere and be just as effective working remotely and building a company. And I think that overall is good where we'll really be able to promote entrepreneurship all around the world, no matter where you are. Goes for access of capital. It just now instead of going to a meeting with an investor, you can just hop on a Zoom call, and it's just a lot easier. And so just the flow of information and just being able to build a company has, like, a lot of those barriers have decreased because everything has been moved online. And so I think overall that will allow entrepreneurs to start companies faster and to ultimately accelerate and grow the number of good opportunities and for entrepreneurs to grow their business. And so I think overall I agree. It's like a positive trend that's been accelerated by the pandemic.
Well, thank you. I have a special question from the public, and I would like to give you this. For Moova, Tony, do you think that the new normality will continue to favor to e-commerce? Will the digital consumer trends continue?
I guess it will, especially in the manufacturer to consumer business, meaning manufacturers going towards the consumers instead of going through the traditional way in which we have lived our whole lives. Think about this. We have manufacturers going towards a wholesaler, and then they went towards a retailer. And why is all that value being increased in the amount of the goods instead of going towards anything else? Why is this inefficiency way of building a business? It's because manufacturers cannot allow to tackle directly each and one of their consumers. It was completely impossible. Through technology, now they can. So what we are seeing is huge corporations trying to avoid all that extra cost that the whole intermediary bring to the business. So I guess it will be grow bigger than we are seeing today. Not the traditional e-commerce goods selling through a marketplace, but they are coming inside the business. All the big companies, all the big brands who are losing a lot of revenue towards the marketplace. The marketplaces, they do not need a marketplace, they need a logistics solution. When they find a logistics solution, they have like 30, 40, 50% of revenue on the air, maybe going towards them. So we are not expecting, we are seeing huge things coming in that area, direct to consumer world. That's
Right.
what we think.
Okay, thank you. I have a question for Eduardo as well. The question is about the venture capital or the investors, basically. So the question is, have you realized any change in the attitude or requirement or investor in the context of pandemic? Are you more confident or caution in this specific moment?
Yeah, so I guess if I understood the question, if there's any change from the venture capital perspective in the last month, right? I guess the first answer to that question, right, is you have to address what's happening in the world right away, right? So, with the other day, we were talking about, for entrepreneurs, right, to be in front of VCs. Today you have to have one or two slides about, is COVID positively affecting, negatively affecting, or how is it affecting? That's like as important as putting a team page probably today, because that's something VCs are going to ask and you'll want to explain, right? So I would say that's the first dynamic that probably changed, besides the obvious of pitching in front of a Zoom screen, right? And then I would say there's something happening today that if we compare this with the 2008-2009 crisis, right, the dry powder in sitting in front of the VCs, global VCs, right, is really high, right? So there's capital to invest, and now that vaccines are coming out, now that things are really a little bit more normal than they were, I think there's a lot of interest of VCs of coming into companies that are going to disrupt, right, or that probably their value proposition is more relevant than it was before COVID. So I think it's that's different, and I think, right, that the next 2 quarters are going to be record quarters of investment in various areas. Of course, others not that much, but yeah, I would say those are the 2 main differences that I've seen, at least in the last 6 months. Yeah.
Great, thank you. I agree with you. And actually, I have the last question for AquaBite. And the question is, what are your main argument to talk about technology in a traditional and a specific industry? Did you have any problem to convince your investor, or what is your strategy to get your investor?
Oh, well, I think it's varied over time. Certainly, I'd say in some ways, just take fish farming. It's it's a much larger industry in Chile than it is in the U.S. In the U.S., it's less than 1% of the world's production, and so for Silicon Valley investors there, they just have no familiarity with fish farming. They don't even know how to do their diligence on a fish farm. And so for that, it's really seed stage, just, I guess, investing in the founder and in the team and the drive to make an idea work. I think for Series A, it was more around like once we had the concept and we had some farmers interested, being able to demonstrate that we had product market fit and being able to, for example, facilitate video chats with the customers and the investors so they can ask questions and they can actually see what this is all about. And that's to say, like, I think it's, yeah, there was a geographical element to it where you have investors that don't really know about this but are excited. And also the fact that, yes, as you pointed out, it's more traditional industry, but is something that can be really transformed with technology. I would also say, just as no, I mean, I think there's been a really interesting geographical element to this where, for example, like take Alaya, there's a number of companies that are building in like South America and being able to promote this to other places in the world. I think this is one of the examples where actually the technology is specifically relevant to Chile, and that was like really exciting for us to work with Alaya to come to Chile and help get set up, and that was very helpful for us. And so I think also these type of startup programs or other programs that are facilitating global business development and making connections was just very, very helpful for us also to raise investment. And so Alaya was part of our Series A and helped facilitate that. And I had the chance to come to Chile and meet a bunch of people. And so I think all that was like necessary and very, very helpful to raise our round. And otherwise wouldn't have been possible, because this, why would Silicon Valley investor think about investing in a fish farm business in Chile? So I think those type of opportunities have been enormously valuable.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Bryton. Actually, to talk with you is very energetic. I mean, I feel a lot of inspiration from you to me, and I guess for the panel as well. So we have just some few minutes left. And I would like you to give us an inspirational message. You are an entrepreneur, you know about this. We know that the digital economy has shown flexibility and growth during this year. So the important for the investors is to know that to invest in companies like yours is a really, really good business. Let us know a little bit about that. In Chile, we used to say lo bueno, lo malo, y lo feo. So the good, the bad, and the ugly. And for you, I would like to know, what is for you lo bueno, lo malo, y lo feo of investing in companies like yours? Bryton?
Just in terms of like, for example, like what are the downsides, or like what happens behind the scenes, or what, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say like there's a lot of ups and downs, and I mean, for us, like it's very exciting, but like you always feel like you're either on the verge of being breakout successful or on the verge of failing, and so it kind of feels like that at the same time. Like I mentioned before, like we're on the verge of signing a big deal, but also like on the verge of needing to have some layoffs. And so I think that sort of duality is just like very tough on the people and tough on the folks involved. And I think just the fact that, it is very tough to like convince, farmers to buy the technology. And it's like one customer can like make or break your business just to get things going. And so it is and when your burn is high and you're wondering if you have enough money. And so I think that uncertainty and just the fact that you're on the verge of being successful or on the verge of failing is just quite challenging. And so I know it's a little bit of a generic answer, but I would say that sort of captures the gist of your question.
Great, thank you very much. What about you, Eduardo?
So the good, the bad, the ugly. I think the good is, the good is of course the upside of investing or jumping in, this adventure, which is, startups and entrepreneurships and the exponential, not only growth, but return on the investment. I would say the bad is, of course, many of companies do not get where they want to go, right? And they're, the numbers are high, but I would say, and this, I know your answer came more from a VC perspective, but from an entrepreneur, I guess it's learning new things that you thought you didn't know, or you're learning around the world along the way. My background is corporate, and these last 4 or 5 years as an entrepreneur, a completely different ball game that I thought I would never do. And, I've learned so many things that I thought I'd never do. I've done so many things that I thought I'd never do at 40 years of age. And that for me is thrilling by itself, right? And I wouldn't change it for anything. And there's days that, I would love more stability, but I guess the uncertainty and it makes this journey worth driving, worth living. So yeah, I would say those are the 3 points in terms of the journey.
Thank you very much. And what about you, Tony?
I think that the good and the bad are almost the same, which are their close brothers. In which way? The three of us here are successful. We have tackled the opportunity. We've been prepared, but we were lucky, because if the three of us were involved in different businesses, which were very hard attacked by the pandemic, we were not here. So you have to know when you are an entrepreneur. In my case, my whole life I've been dedicated to as an entrepreneur, mostly my whole life. You have to know that good, bad, ugly, and many other things goes together hand by hand, day by day. There is no plan that lasts forever. So in this environment, you have to move very fast. And of course, for an investor, it's a huge opportunity that they will be getting no other place rather than in technology, rather than in this kind of company that Bryton, Eduardo, and myself handles.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Bryton, Eduardo, Antonio. Thank you very much for sharing your amazing experience. A very big clap for you. Congratulations for everything you have been done during this period, which is very hard for all of us, and mainly for entrepreneurs. So congratulations for your companies, for growing, and I guess congratulations also for the venture capitalists involved in your companies as well. I guess we have demonstrated that innovative and digital companies are really a great opportunity to invest, as you were exempted from the negative effects of the pandemic and found new opportunities to invest or to grow. So thank you very much for your time, for your experience, for being with us today. Thank you also to Alaya for being part of this panel, for organizing or allow us to be part of this panel. This was, for me at least, a wonderful panel, a lot of energy, a lot of good opportunities to invest. Thank you especially to Luis and Carolina for supporting us in this panel as well. So finally, to all the VCs in the panel here, I would like to invite you to know a little bit more about Startup Chile. And if you need further information about the deal flow in Chile through Startup Chile, not only from Chile, but also from the region and also from the world, very welcome to do it. I will be really happy to share with all of you all the deal flow of Startup Chile, what is happening. Actually, Eduardo was part of the Startup Chile, and you can see where he is now. So thank you very much. So I hope to see all of you in the next time, very soon, hopefully in Chile as well. So thank you very much. It's really nice to have you today, and I hope to have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you, Angeles. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.